Days of Our Lives, spoilers for the week of August 11 to 15, reveal that Marlena Evans may face some other bloody clues, while Tate Black sends a letter and faces a tough rejection. Gabby Hernandez and Philip Kiriakis will also sizzle together soon, so here's what Days viewers can expect. First, Sarah Horton Kiriakis may apologize to Brady Black after kissing him in response to Gabby locking lips with Xander Kiriakis. Since it'll bring out Xander's jealous side, Sarah will be sorry for dragging Brady into the mess. However, Brady may admit he didn't mind the smooch, and he may not be opposed to doing it again without an audience. Will Sarah and Brady stay on this path out of the friend zone? If so, Sarah's secrets regarding Tate's son could become a bigger problem. Although Sarah can't say anything due to medical confidentiality, she knows the whole story about Tesoro being the real baby Sophia Choi gave up. You can bet Brady would feel betrayed if he knew Sarah was covering for Sophia, so her silence could lead to a blow-up between them down the road. In the meantime, Tate will write the letter he told Sophia about. Days spoilers say Tate will make a special request to the adoptive parents and hope for a chance to meet his little girl. Of course, Tate doesn't know he had a baby boy instead, or that adoptive parents haven't been found yet. Tesoro is still being cared for at the Hernandez house, so Melinda Track will be the one who keeps that news quiet and ultimately responds to Tate's letter. If Melinda sticks with her current plan, she'll reject Tate's request to see the baby and leave him heartbroken all over again. Melinda will likely make it seem like the adoptive mom and dad just want this private bonding time. Nevertheless, Tate is struggling over the way this adoption went down and could keep digging for more information. Days spoilers say Sophia will remain on edge despite all the reassurance Melinda keeps offering. Over with Gabby, she'll focus on her next seduction target. Duel fans can expect Philip to get tangled up in Gabby's web, so she'll manipulate him for Titan dirt and sizzle with him in the process. Philip will awaken in bed with Gabby at some point in the coming episodes, so he'll have a lot to mull over once she makes a bold move. Chad DiMera and Kat Green also seem poised to grow closer after a kiss, so we'll see if they might take a step toward true romantic status. There'll be more trial drama as well, especially once it's time for Rachel Black to take the stand. Rachel won't want to say anything that might send Johnny DiMera to prison, so she'll freak out. In reality, it may be Rachel herself who pulled the trigger on EJ DiMera if she buried that memory. Marlena may solve this mystery sooner or later, but a different one will remain on her mind in the meantime. Susan Banks said something about blood draining as she tried to make sense of what was wrong with Marlena. Although Susan couldn't figure out what that really meant, Marlena may mull that hint over anyway. This has to tie in with Marlena's Queen of the Night dreams somehow. There may be some other bloody clues for Marlena to ponder along the way, so stay tuned for updates on her surprising storyline. Days of Our Lives spoilers say the week of August 11 to 15 will bring some highs and lows in Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Thursday, August 7th reveal that Alex Kiriakis may offer some arrest answers while EJ DiMera betrays Belle Black. Johnny DiMera will also take the stand, so there'll be much more drama to come in Salem. For starters, EJ will sneak off to Belle's room at the Salem Inn, where they'll steal some sizzling moments before it's time to head back to court. Things will be going well between Belle and EJ behind closed doors, but Days spoilers say the situation will soon take a troubling turn. There's been some talk about how Belle could get disbarred if it seems like she's not prosecuting this case to the best of her abilities. That's why it'll feel like a huge betrayal when EJ makes a big deal about her conflict of interest and calls for a mistrial. Of course, EJ won't get his wish, but he'll prove he wasn't kidding when he told Johnny that he'd have to play dirtier and get far more ruthless. As for Johnny, he'll spill his fears to Chanel Dupree DiMera. Johnny may worry about how low EJ will have to sink, and even then, he'll know there aren't any guarantees his father can keep him out of prison. Days spoilers say Chanel will give Johnny the support he needs, so he'll try to stay strong as he ultimately takes the stand. There'll be some tricky questions for Johnny, but he'll tell the truth about his innocence and hope for the best. As for Gabby Hernandez, she'll confide in Xander Kiriakis now that she's wrapped up her own testimony in court. Days spoilers say Gabby will connect with Xander ahead of their dinner together, so she'll be pleased over pulling him closer. It could make it easier for Gabby to score Titan dirt if she plays her cards right. Meanwhile, Steve Johnson will put Alex through a grilling session. It seems likely Steve will seek updates on Alex's arrest before he returned to Salem, so Alex may come clean about his crimes and what really went down. Next, on Thursday's Duel episode, Anna DiMera will tell Tony DiMera about Susan Banks spreading the news that Stefano DiMera is alive. Although Tony will laugh it off, he might be keeping some secrets when it comes to Stefano and the possibility that he's risen from the grave. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Tony will continue to focus on the DiMera family and what's best for the people he cares about, so stay tuned. Sophia lets herself into Melinda's office, which is full of boxes, but no Trask. And that's just when Tate calls to tell her Rachel bought a baby gift, so he needs the address for the adoptive parents. Sophia doesn't have the address, but she'll reach out to her lawyer. Speaking of whom, Melinda finally shows up, and Sophia tells her about Sarah's snooping. Melinda didn't think about Sophia's own doctor figuring out that she's lying, but that's fine. Hippa's keeping Sarah's lips sealed. Sophia spirals over the lie, but Melinda just tells her to breathe and she'll handle it. Tate, meanwhile, jumps up from the bench to greet Aunt Belle, who's staying away from Marlena's since Sammy's visiting. Sigh. If only we could see her. Tate's doesn't get why Sammy would be upset since Belle was forced into prosecuting Johnny, but his aunt points out that her sister doesn't always react rationally. But hey, Belle just has to push through and get this all over with, for the greater good. That hits Tate, who realizes maybe he's been selfish about this baby stuff and should be more worried about the greater good, i.e., how Sophia's doing. At the bistro, Paulina's bouncing between stress-starving and stress-eating over testifying. She doesn't know how she can live with herself if Johnny gets wrongly convicted. Things go from bad to worse when the Attorney General calls. He's watching the trial very closely. Well, someone from his office is. They'll be in court today, and if Belle screws up, she's disbarred. Over a case she tried to recuse herself from and was forced to take. Leo's reading through the Spectator's coverage of Johnny's trial and, naturally, hates it all. As he's going off about it, Gabby stomps into the room and tells him to shut up. She's in a bad mood since she's testifying. Leo didn't know that. But isn't a juror chatting up a witness problematic? Then again, as Leo does point out, everything about this trial is messed up. Gabby snaps at Leo again, then dials it back and apologizes, saying she's just nervous about today. Eventually, Rafe realizes how inappropriate this all is and tells them to stop talking about the trial. Common sense is nice. Before leaving the mansion, EJ prepares Johnny for another day of ruthlessness in court. Johnny's not sure he likes this idea, but EJ knows what's best, naturally. Still, Johnny wants him to go easy on Paulina. Things turn tender as they catch up a bit about John and Sammy's visit, so they too are in better spirits by the time they leave for the courthouse. Paulina's waiting outside the courtroom when EJ and Johnny walk by, and she wishes her son-in-law luck. She wants to talk to EJ, but he tells her that's inappropriate. She's a witness for Belle. She's also the mayor, she tells him, and he needs to back the hell off Belle. Sure, EJ shrugs, then goes inside, at which point Belle conveniently walks by, and Paulina says she has something to tell her. Cut to inside, and Belle questions Paulina on the stand about Johnny's anger towards EJ. Then Belle pushes her to admit Johnny refused to visit his father in the hospital and declared his dad got what he deserved. Everyone in the courtroom looks upset, including Leo. Is this the first time we've actually seen him in the jury? Belle digs in some more, then turns Paulina over to EJ, who has her admit that she was also angry with him, like everyone in town. Then, do you believe Johnny when he says he's innocent? Paulina does. With all her heart, she does. Next up, Belle asks Gabby about her visit to the mansion and hearing Johnny and EJ arguing the night of the shooting. When Gabby gets to EJ, telling Johnny to put the gun down, the court erupts in gasps. Oh, and she also saw Ava Vitale leaving, which seems like something Belle wouldn't want to get out there. You know, that another suspect was there that night? EJ questions Gabby about the gun she had that night and gets her to admit the fact that she could have misidentified the speaker talking to EJ, and as expected, has her admit Ava could have doubled back and shot him. He starts badgering Gabby, saying she could have even done it, until Belle finally tells the judge to make him stop. She does, and they break. Tate runs into Sophia outside the pub and apologizes for not being kind to her since the birth. How is she doing? I'm fine, she tells him, then agrees to join him in the pub for lunch. Breakfast? What time is it? It was, as you'd expect, a terrible idea because Tate has questions about the parents. Sophia just tells him they've got to live with what happened, but Tate can't. He's obsessing over it, so it's time to meet the parents and their daughter. Sophia looks suitably horrified and tells him this will just make things worse for him. The baby's not his anymore. And honestly, Sophia may be lying, but she has a point in telling him he's fixating on a baby that we didn't even mean to have. But nothing in Salem is easy, so Tate refuses to let this go until he sees the baby. Sophia heads outside and calls Melinda to tell her Tate wants to write a letter to the parents asking to meet. That's fine, Melinda shrugs. Let him write the letter. She'll respond as the parents and tell him no. Problem solved. Tate runs into Leo in the square, pushing Tesoro around. Leo asks about Tate's baby and the teen. While staring at his own baby, gets all sad and morose. Leo offers to let Tate hold the baby, and the oblivious dad takes to it like a duck to water. Gabby and Rafe get home where she goes off about EJ, panicking about getting blamed for something she didn't do. Again. Paulina apologizes to Johnny out in the court hall, and he reassures her it's fine. She just hopes the jury finds him as innocent as she knows he is. Inside, EJ offers his own apology to Belle for how hard this is. He loves her so much. Belle folds fast and gives him a key card to her room at the Salem Inn, then walks out. EJ smirks as he picks it up. But something feels very off about this. Days of Our Lives, spoilers reveal that Alex Kyriakis is arrested for some mysterious crimes in the past. What did Alex do that Justin Kyriakis refers to as being young and stupid? Will Alex be arrested again because of them? Steve Johnson spilled to Kayla Johnson last week that while digging up some dirt on the Kyriakis family, Steve discovered an arrest of Alex before he returned to Salem. Steve wasn't absolutely sure about what the charges were, just that Alex had committed a couple of crimes. What exactly did Alex do? Justin wouldn't give Steve any information on what exactly Alex did. However, it was enough to worry Steve considering Alex is with Stephanie Johnson, his daughter, and she had an abusive boyfriend before. Steve is worried that Alex could do that same. Could Alex turn violent towards Stephanie? Steve and Kayla discuss whether or not they should tell Stephanie. Steve has chosen to keep quiet about what happened in Alex's past and just keep an eye on him. Steve may not tell Stephanie what he knows, but Stephanie may get some information about Alex's legal problems in the future, whether Steve tells her or not. Stephanie may be very upset with Alex and her dad for not telling her the truth. Alex had promised not to lie to her anymore. Does not bringing up old charges count as lying? Steve could have told her as well, and if Alex did something violent, why would he not tell her anything? Didn't her dad think she had a right to know? Spoilers reveal that Alex may face an interrogation from Stephanie about what happened before he came back to Salem. Alex may have Stephanie a little unsettled. Stephanie may just not understand why Alex didn't tell her all of this. Why did Alex want Stephanie to know what happened back then? Will Stephanie forgive Alex? According to spoilers, Stephanie will buy that explanation if Alex explains that whole story. All of this is obviously leading up to the return of Jeremy Horton at some point. All of this will certainly remind Stephanie of the abuse she suffered years ago. Alex will certainly be in the hot seat once Stephanie learns this information. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, August 6th imply some major bombshells on the horizon in Salem. Two characters have a strategy session, while another complains about their situation, and someone is quick on their feet. What's set to go down on Wednesday? Time to find out. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, August 6th imply that EJ DiMera and Johnny DiMera will have a strategy session about Johnny's current legal battle. Can the two come up with a way to exonerate the young man? Here's hoping they can. Meanwhile, Johnny's mother-in-law, Paulina Price, will be completely stressed out over her family's predicament, and thankfully, Abe Carver will be on hand to provide some reassurance. Across town, Gabby Hernandez will have a vent session with none other than Rafe Hernandez and Leo Stark. She's dealing with a lot of Gabby chic now that Titan has taken over Dimera. But will she complain about work? Or is this more about Ariana Ari Horton? Her 18-year-old daughter got kidnapped recently, and Gabby has always been overly protective. Ari isn't a child, but she'll always be Gabby's baby, so the mom may vent her concerns about her daughter. With that said, will Leo and Rafe have good advice to offer? Lastly, Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Wednesday say that Sophia Choi will have to think quickly on her feet when Tate Black starts asking for information. This is likely about their baby's adoption, as things aren't sitting right for Tate, and he's not wrong to feel as if something is off. After all, Sophia has lied about when she gave birth, where their baby went, and even the child's gender. The only person who knows about Sophia's lie is Sarah Horton Kyriakis, but she's bound by patient confidentiality, so it sounds like this storyline is about to get stickier by the moment. Here are your Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Belle had no problem inviting EJ back to her Salem Inn room while the court was in recess. The morning had been stressful for both of them, and they could each use a stress reliever. Things get hot and heavy when Belle and EJ make it to the hotel room, but this could all be a part of EJ's strategy. Perhaps EJ wants to get Belle in a compromising position to accomplish his goal, getting Johnny acquitted and finding the real person who tried to kill him. He refused to tell Johnny what he was really up to, but hinted that he might have to hurt someone for the greater good. When they get back to court, EJ is set to make a shocking move that could alter the trial's outcome. Needless to say, Belle will be furious, but a father has to do what a father has to do. Courtroom fireworks are sure to erupt. Gabby is all in on Tony's plan to win Dimera Enterprises back from the Kyriakis brothers, but she has to cozy up to Xander to do it. Since Xander and Gabby had been becoming quite friendly lately, Gabby had thought this would be a piece of cake. However, Xander was a bit suspicious when she started making eyes at him and invited him for dinner. Xander finally agrees to have a meal with Gabby, so it's showtime. At the bistro, Gabby gets to work trying to get Xander to trust her. She starts by taking him into his confidence and telling her some of her deepest secrets, or at least what she claims are her deepest secrets. Does she also ply him with booze? Xander has no idea that he is being ambushed as part of a big Dimera plan. Back at the mansion, Tony and Anna look up at Stefano's portrait and toast to this latest corporate plot, while seeing dollar signs before their eyes. Welcome to the Days of Our Lives Daily YAPP. For a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. This is the second year in a row that Melinda Trask has been involved with an adoption story gone wrong. From 2023 to 2024, Melinda was consumed with making sure Sloan Peterson could hold on to Eric by passing off his own son, with Nicole as a baby they had adopted. She was willing to risk her law license and her freedom to do this for a woman she barely even knew. Now, she is doing the same for Sophia, a teenager she barely knows. While we understand Melinda's initial inclination to take Sophia on as a client, stemmed from her own experience as a pregnant teenager with strict Asian parents who wanted to keep the baby in the family, as Amy Choi had wanted, it doesn't explain her motivation and new obsession with lying for Sophia. Melinda is once again risking it all to keep a baby's identity a secret, and we don't understand why. This seems to now be Melinda's only purpose in Salem. When Sophia told her that she confessed the truth to a very curious Sarah, Melinda nearly had a coronary that Sophia's baby wouldn't remain hidden in plain sight. That's what prompted us to ask why the heck Melinda is doing this again after things backfired on her so spectacularly the last time. Is she a glutton for punishment, or does Days of Our Lives truly not know what to do with this character? Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full duel recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not, seriously, do not, forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is, if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. A lot of wild, thrilling, and wacky things have happened on Days of Our Lives over the years. Dr. Rolf resurrected half the town with his mysterious injections. Salem was once struck by a meteor, leading to the creation of magical amulets and post-apocalyptic mayhem, and Stefano died at least a dozen times, including by quicksand, electrocution, and a brain tumor, only to return again and again, among many other crazy storylines. 3 of its stars got together and were challenged to see who knew the most trivia about the show. The Days official Instagram page posted, Allison Sweeney, Martha Madison, and Carson Boatman are put to the test. Who knows Days trivia better? Let the game begin. A video showed the actors on a couch, and each had to race to grab a toy hourglass first in order to answer a question. The first question was, who did Sammy kidnap and try to put up for adoption? Sweeney stated that, ironically, the night before her husband ran lines with her and asked who Belle was. She told him, the one I kidnapped when she was born. Next was, who is Belle named after? Madison quickly grabbed the hourglass and said, Isabella. After that came, who is known for the iconic line, like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. It was hard to hear their responses, but the answer was MacDonald Carey. Then, Belle had a famous love triangle with whom during the early 2000s. Their answer couldn't be heard, but it was Sean and Philip. After that was, in 2013, Sammy shot someone very prominent in a storyline. Who was it? Boatman gleefully asked. Was it E.J. DiMera? It was Sammy who had saved Rafe's life by shooting a police officer who was working for Stefano. And the last question was, what year were Johnny and Allie born? Boatman stated, I want to say that it was 2000. When the answer was given off-screen, the women both said, what? And Boatman stated, I was 21 in 2021. He didn't know the answer, and Madison hysterically stated, I was born in 1993. Sweeney calculated that it was 2009, but the actual answer was 2007. Yikes! Belle's job just got a lot harder after the Wednesday, August 6th episode of Days of Our Lives. It's not enough that she has to prosecute her own nephew, but she has to do so opposite her lover. Plus, she has to question family, friends, and bosses up there on the stand. Now she could very well lose her job should she not do her job to the best of her abilities. Meanwhile, Tate is impatient, and he wants answers. But Sophia might not be able to do anything about it. Good thing she has Melinda Trask on her side. Paulina got word from the state attorney general that they're going to micromanage Johnny's trial, which is wise considering all the conflicts of interest involved. Someone from the AG's office will embed themselves in the courtroom and keep an eye on everything, especially Belle, and everybody knows that Johnny is her nephew, and so prosecuting him when she believes in his innocence is a tall order. But she's going to have to pull out all the stops to get the jury to convict Johnny if she wants to keep her job. She can't go easy, and she'll have to mount the perfect case against John Roman DiMera, or she'll face disbarment. It's probably not ideal that she slipped EJ her hotel room key. For the duration of this case, she needs to stay far away from him. It doesn't help that EJ has decided to go full-on dark side to save his son. And in the weekly video preview for Days, EJ's about to call for a mistrial, and he brings up a major conflict of interest for the Salem district attorney. Tate feels helpless because he had no part in the adoption of his and Sophia's daughter. While he briefly attempted to remove himself from the equation and consider things from Sophia's perspective, that didn't last. On Wednesday, he decided to write to the adoptive parents asking them to let him visit so he could meet his daughter once. Although he seems to think that will be enough, the way he's acting, he could very well want to raise the baby himself. He and Sophia have been on the same page about being too young to raise a kid, but something tells us that he would have caved once he held his baby. And wouldn't you know it, Leo, on a 1-hour lunch from being juror number whatever at Johnny's trial, took a stroll with baby Tesoro and ran into Tate. He let the teen hold the crying baby, and Tesoro instantly started smiling and stopped crying, as if he knew his father was the one holding him. and Tate had the biggest smile on his face. Meanwhile, Sophia needs to figure things out. She and Melinda are juggling a lot of things. It's crazy to think that someone as smart as Melinda didn't think about the records at Salem University Hospital contradicting their story. Sophia wanted to give up and tell the truth, but Melinda convinced her to stay quiet, saying they held all the cards. Do they? Is that theory about to be tested? Because Tate's persistent. How long can Sophia ride this secret out? Sarah can't say anything thanks to HIPAA, but what's to say that Tate doesn't hire Black Patch to find the adoptive parents? Should he not be happy that the address for them is a P.O. box? For daytime dramas, Days of Our Lives and General Hospital were full of comedy last week, thanks to 2 iconic returns. But which feisty female won their comedic takes? Knowing that Susan has returned to Salem, she's back on a mission. As a medium in training, she wants to prove her grandson's innocence while discovering Stefano's presence in the Dimera mansion. Hajduk turned the July 31st episode into comedy gold when she let Susan loose throughout the mansion. As EJ and Chad discussed Johnny's trial, Susan could be seen in the background hovering across the couch and scouring the lamp for any vibe that Stefano was there. I can't believe that we've gone this many years without seeing Chad interact with Susan until now. Those scenes were funny. He couldn't take his eyes off of her and her antics, one fan shared on X. While another recapped Susan being weird around the living room. Over on the July 29th episode of GH, Obrecht has been nothing but snarky since her recent return to Port Charles, but it was her tipsy conversation with Jason that had us LOLing. When Jason found her drinking after Willow and Drew's wedding that wasn't, she began imitating a wide-eyed Willow with, "Did you sleep with my mutter?" before cracking herself up. Obrecht is hilarious about what happened at the wedding, one viewer noted, while another admitted, Obrecht is entertaining, but will always be a villain to me. Judging by the buzz Susan and Obrecht both gained on social media for their comical moments, these two may have tied for bringing a little comedy to daytime last week. Daytime audiences know Mary Beth Evans as Dr. Kayla Brady Johnson on Days of Our Lives. But recently, the actress hopped on over to a streaming series with a major Days connection. She guest starred on Prime Video's Countdown, a 13-episode thriller starring Jensen Ackles, who played Eric Brady for 3 years in the late 90s. Countdown is an action-packed thriller about a task force that's assembled after a Department of Homeland Security agent is murdered in Los Angeles in broad daylight. Eric Dane's Nathan Blythe leads this highly specialized group that recruits undercover agents from various branches of law enforcement, including the LAPD, the FBI, and the DEA. Evans can currently be seen in the hit action drama's 8th episode, where she plays the mom of one of the series' regulars, Violet Bean, aka Evan Shepard, the task force's tech expert. While the 2-time Daytime Emmy-winning actress is in one scene, it's pivotal in helping establish another element of Shepard's backstory. The Days actress recently shared her excitement over the role on Instagram. In addition to a screenshot of her brief guest appearance, she included the poster for the series. She wrote, "Quick scene, big thrill. I had such a great time filming a guest spot on the new Amazon Prime series Countdown. Catch me in episode 8. It's a blink and you might miss it moment, but I'm so excited to be part of this fun show. Let me know if you spot me. Hashtag for Prime Video, #Countdown, on Prime guest star. Ever since the material for the New Day's head writing regime started airing in April, Kayla has been a steady presence. As chief of staff, she has been doing everything she can to keep the hospital afloat. And now she regularly has to stand up to EJ Dimera and the severe budget cuts he has demanded since purchasing the hospital. As for Evans, she is an actress who continues to be featured in different projects outside of Days. She's one of the leads of the streaming soap opera, The Bay. She also guest starred in the 3rd season of Netflix's hit legal drama, The Lincoln Lawyer. And in 2021, she appeared in the 4th season of ABC's hit cop series, The Rookie. The show stars another Days alum, Eric Winter. In addition to starring in Countdown, Ackles Executive produces the series. The Supernatural and Big Sky actors' other projects include guest starring as Justin Hartley's older brother, Russell Shaw, on CBS's Tracker. In fact, he's currently on set filming another episode. He is reprising his role as Soldier Boy in the final season of Prime Video's The Boys. In August, he starts shooting a spin-off in The Boys universe called Vought Rising. 9 countdown episodes are currently available for streaming on Prime Video. There's no word on a second season just yet, but the Season 1 finale will air on Wednesday, September 3rd. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, August 7th put Anna and Tony at the center of a mystery about the late Stefano DiMera. Ever since Susan shrieked about feeling Stefano's presence in the DiMera mansion, EJ has been a tiny bit curious about his father's status. As in dead or alive? Now Anna has something to say about her father-in-law. Something Tony may not be excited to hear. While Johnny continues to worry about the minor detail of whether he will be found guilty of trying to murder his father, said father, EJ puts his own concerns on hold to meet with opposing counsel, Belle. Deniso. Sure, he wants to discuss his son's case. Totally. But if something more were to develop, and that something more had better not be a discussion of what they will do now that her sister and his ex-wife, Sammy, is back in Salem. Steve confided in Kayla that, while investigating the Kyriakis family in general, he found out something about Alex in particular, and it wasn't good. Now Steve worries about what this means for Alex's relationship with Stephanie. And unlike most people who worry without doing anything about it, Steve takes his questions straight to the source and confronts his little girl's current fling. Gabby and Xander have been awfully chummy lately, haven't they? She helped him with Victoria, and he offered her support when Ari went missing. Well, now it's time for another heart-to-heart between them. Just how close are these former foes going to get? Days of Our Lives spoilers for August 11 to 15, 2025. See EJ DiMera's sneaky move and Gabby Hernandez's playing dirty. As we always do on Early Edition Day, we start with what's coming the rest of this week. Then we talk about next week. On Wednesday, August 6th, EJ talks about making a big move in his legal strategy defending Johnny DiMera. He is talking to his son about it. Looks like EJ is ready to play as dirty as he has to keep Johnny out of prison. But I don't know if EJ is going to tell Johnny exactly what he's got planned, because it seems like a pretty sketchy notion. But it's one of those high-risk, high-reward scenarios. Tate Black interrogates Sophia Choi on Wednesday about the adoption and their baby. Tate is still really depressed as that Sophia didn't include him in the process, and he never got to meet their baby. So, I wonder if she can keep this sketchy truth hidden from Tate for much longer. Gabby complains to Leo Stark and Rafe Hernandez. Maybe about Gabby's chic. Maybe that baby Tesoro is just fussy. We'll see. Paulina Price takes the stand as a witness at Johnny's trial. She has to say that she heard her son-in-law saying his father, EJ, deserved what he got. Abe Carver is there to comfort Paulina, who of course hates having to testify against Chanel Dupree's husband. On Thursday, August 7th, EJ and Belle Black head over to the Salem Inn for a secret tryst. So maybe EJ gets her all hot and bothered till Belle can't resist him. But EJ could be setting Belle up to save Johnny, because it looks like somebody may find out that the DA is canoodling with the defense attorney. Maybe they just bought them. Maybe they snap a picture of them going into the hotel. Steve Johnson questions Alex Kyriakis about his criminal past on Thursday's Days of Our Lives, and I do wonder if he can put Steve's mind at ease. And from there, will Alex run tell Stephanie Johnson what her dad found out so that she hears it from Alex and he can explain himself before her dad Steve spills that tea about his prior arrest and criminal charges? Xander Cook and Gabby have dinner, and what feels like a heartfelt conversation, but that seems to be only on Xander's part. It looks like Gabby is scheming and she's digging for info, and she's doing it in a public place, and she's going to take advantage of all of that. Johnny gets some comfort from his wife, Chanel. And of course, Susan Banks remains desperate to find the real killer so Johnny can get back to his life. That's why Chanel invited Susan to come to Salem. But she seems to have lost the plot. Anna DiMera shocks her husband, Tony DiMera, when she tells him that kooky psychic Susan thinks Stefano DiMera is alive and in Salem. She thinks he's in the house. So, Chad DiMera is kind of like, EJ is kind of like, but she's very insistent. On Friday, August 8th, We've got Gabby trying to pry secrets out of Xander as part of her scheme with Tony to take down Xander and Philip Kyriakis. This is part of the whole thing where she said fight fire with fire, and Tony says no, let's fight it with arson. And that plan seems to be to burn apart any threads left holding the Kyriakis brothers to each other and hoping to start an internal Kyriakis civil war that they can take advantage of. So Gabby is going to kiss Xander at the bistro. And I wonder if Gabby intentionally waits until she sees Sarah Horton and Brady Black walking in to kiss Xander right in front of his estranged wife. Brady and Sarah Horton's jaws are going to drop. And Sarah's upset. She tells Xander he can do whatever he wants, and so will she. And then Sarah smooches Brady. That's probably going to carry over into Monday's episode, but Xander is going to completely lose it. He is going to punch Brady. So, obviously, Xander is either not attending these anger management sessions or just isn't taking notes and paying attention because his anger is clearly unmanageable. Chad and Kat Green share a kiss at the end of this week on Days of Our Lives. He's over at her apartment. He's taking care of her, and they're horizontal. So we'll see. Chad just told Julie Williams to zip it on her mean talk to Kat and about Kat, although he did say it respectfully. So maybe Chad feels like that he's given Julie the heads up. Now he can do whatever he wants. In court, EJ calls for a mistrial due to a conflict of interest. He may have set it up, so he purposefully allowed his fling with Belle to be exposed. EJ is going to make the request. Belle totally loses it, and she goes off on EJ in court. So Belle may figure out exactly what EJ's doing and why, and that he set her up. Marlena Evans comforts a very worried Johnny, and I wonder if she will offer EJ another hypnosis session soon. The week of August 11th through the 15th, we've got Xander and Gabby's public kiss, upsetting Sarah. And then Xander's going to be facing some serious backlash over hitting Brady. He was arrested for the Philip incident, and then his brother refused to press charges on Xander. But we'll see. Will Brady press charges? Maybe, especially if Sarah tells him to, because she might try and take advantage of this for custody reasons. But more so, Sarah kissing Brady could turn out to be a huge mistake. Sarah kissed Brady out of anger and revenge, but he's about to start getting feelings for Sarah very soon when she is still very much smitten with her annoying, violent, hunky husband. EJ mistrial scheme may not work out the way he wants. Obviously, the judge may reject his request completely, but over and above that, Belle is so upset that this could be the end for her and EJ as a couple. Sophia struggles to keep the truth about Tasto hidden.